It's recording. All right. Hey guys, Zangetsu 134 here, bringing you another vlog. With me is, as always,
Average Joe Squad here.
And we're in a Walmart parking lot because we didn't see the movie. We watched the movie on like Saturday or.
It was so good we had to take a day and a half break to collect our thoughts.
We were actually gonna do separate vlogs for this just so we can get our thoughts, but I just didn't feel like doing it.
And I had so much chaos going on the last 2 days.
Hang on, I gotta hide where we work. All right. So yeah, we saw. I'm pretty sure everybody knows what week it is. We saw Avengers: Infinity War. Thank you. Him and Space Mom there. I also have a copy of Blackjack by Osamu Tezuka. You know, the guy who created Astro Boy. But that's not important to this vlog. So yeah, we did see it, but we saw it at 10:45 at night.
So we were getting home at like 2, 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
And by that point, you know, we had to drop somebody else off from work that came with us. And by the time we dropped him off, and then the time we got to my house, it was like, if we had done a vlog and if it had gone on like we normally do, we probably would have been up to like 6 in the morning, and that wouldn't have been a good idea.
Yeah.
As good a movie as it was. But.
So I feel like real quick, we'll just give our overall thoughts before we get into spoiler territory, just so that someone will watch it. So what I'm going to do is after we give our thoughts, I'm going to do 3, 2, 1, 0. That's when it's going to be into spoilers. But first we're going to give our overall thoughts, all right?
So you have been warned.
So, for one thing, I feel like it's not very fair to rate this movie as a singular movie. I feel like overall, I think it has to be you have to rate it alongside the experience of both Infinity War and just the Marvel Cinematic Universe overall. I mean, after all, it is the finale to the first 4 phases. Supposedly we're gonna get more phases, but I don't.
They're gonna be a lot more slow.
Yeah, I don't think
whatever. They're not gonna be like as big as these other ones.
I almost feel like we're not gonna get like as many a year.
Which I'd honestly be fine with, you know, them taking a little bit of a break. Because, I mean, you know what's going to happen. They'll take a bit of a break. I mean, they just bought X-Men and Fantastic Four again. Yeah. So they're probably going to reboot those and incorporate those. So, I mean, once they get everything rolling again, they'll probably start chugging them out again.
Plus with Spider-Man's availability in the air, since Homecoming's going to be the last movie they can make with him.
You mean Far From Home?
You're Far From Home, thank you. I do that every time.
Bro, I was doing the same thing. Don't worry about it. But yeah, you know, there's been that rumor persistently coming along that after Spider-Verse had so much success, Sony, you know, they're trying to do their own Spider-Man verse without Spider-Man. I mean, they've had Venom. They have a couple other movies planned.
Well, I think Venom did well. I don't think it did nearly as well as Enter the Spider-Verse.
No, it didn't. But either way, so it's really kind of become a question of when this contract deal between Sony and Marvel is up, does Sony want to renew it and allow Marvel to keep doing stuff with Spider-Man, or do they want to take it back and try doing their own thing again? Which there's good and positives on both sides of that.
Yeah.
So, but it until it actually happens, it really remains a question of is Far From Home going to be the last Marvel Spider-Man movie for a while, or is it going to go back to Sony? And it's really just up in the air right now.
Personally, I think it would be dumb for Sony to take it all the way back, just from a financial standpoint.
Plus, they'd have to reboot everything again.
And then they have to reboot everything again.
Time now.
Yeah.
Unless they want to try to get Garfield back, and I'm pretty sure he wouldn't do it.
Fourth if you count Spider-Verse, if I'm being really honest.
I mean, and who are they going to get at this point? You know what I mean? Because Toby is too old, as much as I hate to say that.
They're not going to get Holland back, because Holland will probably get out of his contract when this is over.
I don't know what the relationship with Garfield and Sony is at this point, given all the crap that ended The Amazing Spider-Man. So.
Oh yeah, there's no way Garfield's going to go back to work for them.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have another president now. The president then was behind all that, but even still, you know, I don't know if there's any hard feelings.
I will admit, I feel like the guy who made the Emoji Movie is probably gone.
Yeah, I think he finally got the clue to get out of there.
But overall, I do think Endgame is a very good finale to everything. I think it's a great wrap up of the last of this decade of Marvel. You know, from what Iron Man started to now, I think has been very solid. It's not always been. It's always been smooth ride. There have been some bumps.
Age of Ultron,
Thor: The Dark World, Incredible Hulk.
Hulk is Hulk really that bad?
Well, I don't think it's bad, but it's just kind of meh. Really? And to be honest, I've watched it and I'm just like, I don't really care. Like, to be fair, I think I think once they got Mark Ruffalo to be Hulk, I think they finally got it right. I feel like Ed Norton, he was okay. I don't think he was nearly as good as Mark Ruffalo does as Hulk.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I think we've come to a good place, and I'm looking forward to see what happens next, even if it's not as tied together as previously. I think it'll still be tied. I still think we're going to be getting a lot of like, oh, here's this is gonna be important for the next movie thing.
Yeah. Well, to kind of build off what you said, it's kind of unfair to rate Endgame by itself because it's really not a movie that goes by itself. I mean, it's kind of like watching a season finale for a show and you've skipped half the season.
Or a series finale too.
It's not exactly fair to rate the finale by itself because it's had all this build up to this point.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but if in comparison with everything else that's come before it, I mean, I thought it was a very, very solid picture.
I thought so too.
Everyone in it did an amazing job acting-wise, which I think we've all come to expect from the MCU for the most part.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think the only real complaints we have is just how it ended.
Yeah, there's a certain spot in the ending. We won't say what it is until we get to the part where we're doing spoilers, but even me and him both in the theater were just honestly saying it's kind of a BS move.
Yeah, I do.
And they only do it, in my opinion, the writers only did it to have a certain event happen at the end, because otherwise it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
I very much agree with you there. And to be fair, I'm sure people are gonna bring up like, well, you could say that about other movie series. I'm like, I mean, yeah, like you can technically talk about like the different Back to the Future films on their own.
But I mean, is it really fair to rate Back to the Future 3 by itself?
No, I don't think so. Because I mean, to be fair, it's very important you watch 2.
Yeah, and like, for 2, and to understand 2, you kind of have to watch 1 to understand what's going on.
Honestly, the only one I think on it that can stand on its own
is the first one.
And that's just because it tells its own story and it just sets up a potential story for the end.
I mean, there are trilogies you could make an argument for that you can judge them by themselves. I would say the Raimi trilogy you certainly could.
Yeah.
Because even though those are all connected, they're not as connected as the MCU stuff is.
Yeah, or
each one was kind of its own little thing.
And to be fair, him and I could probably do a whole vlog once him and I have both seen everything. I haven't seen like Guardians.
I'm trying to get caught up on everything. Like, I mean, to be honest, I went into Endgame knowing what happened in Infinity War. But if you want to talk movies I'd actually seen, like actually sat and watched, Avengers 1, Iron Man 3, Captain Marvel, and Homecoming. Those were the only ones I'd seen going into this. And I mean, you saw me. I was crying at one point. I mean, it's that good of a film that even if you haven't watched all 22 or 23 films... 22. Is it 22? Okay. Yeah, 22. Even if you haven't watched all 22 films, you're still going to get a lot out of this if you know the characters, and you even if you feel at least a little bit something towards them, you're still going to get a lot out of this.
Yeah, because I've only, when I first started watching these movies, I only really watched the films that I cared about the characters.
Same.
For me, that was Iron Man, Cap, and there was somebody else. Oh, Spider-Man, obviously. But I mean, to be fair,
well, it's like me. I went and saw Iron Man 3 on a date. So only because there was nothing else playing.
So overall, him and I both agree. I think it's a great film. I think if you don't watch the rest of them, you might not get it, but not be as impactful as it was.
But I mean, to kind of add on that, I feel like you have to have seen Infinity War to really get it,
and partially Captain Marvel. I do think Captain Marvel you need to see.
Captain Marvel especially builds up to it.
And if you haven't seen those, and if you want to figure out what we're talking about,
watch our other videos.
Yeah, linked in the description below.
Shameless self-plug.
Shameless self-plug. All right, I think after that shameless self-plug...
Support Space Mom.
I think that after that shameless plug, we should get into spoilers. All right, so like I said, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's when the spoilers are going to start.
Spoilers!
All right, so 3, 2, 1... 0. Shut off it. It's time for spoilers. So, yeah, this film takes place pretty much right after Captain Marvel. And I say that just because it really doesn't feel like it takes place right after.
No,
after Infinity War.
In my opinion, the ending credit scene of Captain Marvel where Carol shows up, after the beacon goes off, they had to have filmed those at the same time, and I'm not buying that they didn't, because it is exactly the same like atmosphere and same mood. I mean, everything. It have to have been shot at the same time.
And mostly it does start off pretty much with Stark in space. With Nebula after they had gotten off of Titan. I almost called her Neptune.
Playing paper football, and she obviously does not get it at first.
No, she does not get it at first. And basically it just opens with Tony talking about, like, we've only got, like, I think a day's worth of air. We're out of food. We're trapped, like, in just the void of space.
I mean, he's basically recording a vlog. I mean, obviously, I guess the hope was that somebody, mainly, I assume they were directed at Pepper.
Pepper and Happy. Speaking of, Happy's played by Jon Favreau, aka the guy who first did the first Iron Man movie. This has to be like a surreal experience for him, knowing that, like, his character started all this. I just want to point that out, just because, like, he did the first Iron Man film. I forget who does the second and third, but it wasn't Jon Favreau. Which is a shame, because I think the first Iron Man is the solidest of the three.
I mean, it's been a long time since I watched it, and I didn't even see all of it.
And, of course, I'm that guy that says that 3 is better than Iron Man 2, but that's just me. So, yeah, like, and Cap, basically, he signs off telling, Pepper that, don't blame yourself. It kind of is the recurring thing throughout all of Iron Man's storyline, is that he feels like a massive amount of guilt for, for being a war profiteer.
For losing Peter.
For losing Peter. War. For the fact that, like, and not only that, like,
he kind of blames himself for the Civil War.
That pretty much is his fault. I'm sorry, I love Tony, but that was his fault.
It definitely is.
Like, people can complain that Cap should have, like, but, like, at the end of the day, that was still pretty much Iron Man's fault. He's like, we should be accounted for our mistakes. I'm like, really? The only one who makes mistakes here is you, Tony. Like, I mean, Cap debatably with his problems with Bucky, but you especially were the,
No, go ahead, sorry.
And so pretty much, he apologizes to Pepper for running off, and overall he just, he feels like he's gonna die, and so he shuts off the Iron Man helmet that he's recording on, which I do love that he records with the helmet.
Yeah.
And he basically just goes to sleep. Nebula puts him into the chair, and basically her and him wait for death.
And then as he's sleeping, this light starts getting brighter and brighter and brighter. And then he finally looks up, and
Captain Marvel. I don't know why she found him in space. I will admit it was kind of convenient for her to find him in space.
I mean, it makes sense. Out of anybody, it was going to be Carol that found him.
My best guess is that she figured that, like, she figured Thanos might have been on Titan after he activated the snap.
Probably.
So she was heading towards the vicinity of Titan.
They don't elaborate on that very much. I mean, I would assume that the Avengers might have had some trajectory data or some weird, convenient little plot point.
Yeah, and to be fair, they're also, I think, going in the Guardian ship, so neither of them know how to operate it.
Yeah, so it's just, listing in space, basically.
Yeah, because otherwise that thing should have gotten them to Earth in, like, an hour tops.
Yeah. But so Carol brings the ship back, she gets it back safely.
Yeah.
Tony and Nebula are obviously okay. Tony gets medical attention, and
yeah, he has to get like an IV drip because he's pretty under.
Yeah, I mean, he's really out of it. I mean, he has the reunion with Pepper. He talks with Cap for a bit and tells Cap, like, I lost the kid.
Yeah, and then he basically blames Cap because he didn't want to. Which, to be fair,
that happens
weird.
The next day when like he's kind of recovering a little bit,
but like he's clearly like hysterical. I mean, who wouldn't be?
He's grief-ridden. He's probably in this stage of grief where you just start taking it out on everybody else. And I mean, Cap was an easy target for Tony, I guess.
Yeah, I will admit though, it is kind of weird because like he had the burn phone that he was going to use to contact Cap, but there's a lot of weird inconsistencies there. Like Iron Man tells like I want to say Bruce in Infinity War that they're not on speaking terms, despite the fact that like Cap sends him a letter that says, use this phone to call me if you need me. Like, I don't want to be right there, but if you need Captain America...
It's very much a Dick Grayson, Nightwing, Batman kind of
it's really
deal.
Weird. Because, like...
wouldn't surprise me if Tony even forgot about it.
I wouldn't be surprised. And to be fair, again, I chalk a lot of that up to hysterics.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So basically, they put him into a bed, they give him a sedative.
He does that whole thing where he rips the
Yeah.
Peace out.
Which
I don't
should-
know what the term for that is.
Oh, the arc reactor.
Yeah, the arc reactor.
He takes his arc, which, to be fair, thanks to the to Extremis, he doesn't need that anymore. It's just there to have the nanites that form his suit.
Yeah.
Because that's their power source.
But he does it as like a symbolic thing.
Yeah, he's like,
I'm done.
I'm done. You can, if you want to go fight Thanos here, and he basically gives him the Iron Man armor, and then he just passes out from exhaustion or just adrenaline finally leaving him. So they put him in a sedative, and they decide that they're going to try and figure out a way to find Thanos because they want to use the gauntlet to try and, the logical thing is that we should get the gauntlet and we can undo what he did.
Yeah, I mean, Carol at this point is being very straightforward about it. We get the stones, we use them to bring everybody back.
Yeah, which
and isn't it it's War Machine, isn't it? War Machine's obviously not very.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's kind of skeptical of this whole plan. I mean, he kind of is skeptical towards Carol. He even mentions where have you been this whole time? And she's like, I've been in space for the last
20 years. And to be fair, guys, not every planet has you.
Yeah, I mean, plus she was finishing a war with the Skrulls. So,
yeah, well,
between the Skrulls and the Kree, so she was kind of busy.
I do kind of hope 2 actually explains what she was doing in space. I wouldn't be cool to see her. It'd be cool to see her home, but I'd rather kind of get 2 to be.
Somebody pointed this out too in the end credit scene with Captain Marvel. Apparently her uniform in that has more gold on it than it did I didn't notice that.
I think it might be a little bit in reference to more how traditionally Captain Marvel looks.
I mean, until the Blu-ray comes out, I mean, I can't really judge if that's an accurate thing, if it actually is different. I mean, the one in Infinity War is obviously different for a reason we'll get into.
That's very much her comic book.
Yeah, we'll get into why she has a different costume in a minute.
And so basically, Thor, decides to test her by throwing Stormbringer near her, and she doesn't flinch, and he's just like...
Yeah, she just smiles at him.
And he's just like, I like this one. And so basically, they find Thanos because they feel, their sensors indicate that the gauntlet activated on this planet, which Nebula recognizes, because basically she would ask her father what they would do after he got the gauntlet, and he said they'd go to the garden. Which I think is a reference to the fact that Thanos' parents were actually farmers on Titan. And so
Possibly.
that he basically, and to be fair, it's more just a reference to a lot of soldiers when they get done, they usually end up becoming farmers and samurai did that, knights did that.
So they find out basically where he's at, and
yeah.
To quote Cap, let's go get this son of a bitch.
Yeah, and so Rocket helps them use I forget what the Guardians ship is even called.
I've never seen Guardians.
Yeah, sadly. Neither have I, so I don't know what
I feel really bad.
And we can't look it up because we're using his phone to.
I've seen the intro. Lighting. I've seen the intro of "Come and Get Your Love." If that counts, does that count for anything?
We'll get there.
I'm getting caught up, man. It takes me a while.
No, I don't blame you, man. There's so many, and I'm
one of those people that I need to watch them in order, or I lose my mind.
Technically, you should watch them in chronological.
I know. I have that. I actually have that printed out. I can't do that fully until Captain Marvel comes out on Blu-ray, which isn't going to be for another 4 or 5 months.
If we're being accurate, it's one of the earliest in the timeline.
I think it goes Captain America First Avenger, Captain Marvel.
I think Guardians 1, just because of the fact that
Guardians 1's later.
Well, no, I mean because Quill was Star-Lord was abducted into space in the 80s.
Yeah, but
that's why he has a Walkman.
There's a list somewhere. I know I have it. I actually saw a parody one where it starts out normal and then it's Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3. I'm like,
well, if you want to be accurate that way, then it has to start with Blade.
Then we got,
or if you really want to,
we got to include the Daredevil movie too.
And you gotta. Technically, if I'm saying that, we got to start with the Roger Corman Fantastic Four film.
Yo, if we're gonna start with that, we're gonna start with 70s Captain America.
Oh, why'd you bring that up? Oh,
not
man.
even the good one. I'm talking the first one where that costume is so
They're
dumb.
both terrible.
So what's worse, that or 70s Spider-Man?
70s Spider-Man, truth be told. At least one of them has Christopher Lee as the bad guy. But
Getting back on topic.
So they go to the garden, as the planet I guess is just called. I don't think they gave it a name, so we'll just call it the garden.
So Carol goes out to scout, and then it's got no defenses, no anti-aircraft guns, nothing.
It's just a garden, and he's just sitting there. And so they land the ship, and I love it because they do, because at the ending of the original Infinity War, this was the original ending of the original Infinity War. Thanos uses the gauntlet to disappear, and he just goes off to this farm, and he just puts his armor up as a scarecrow, and he just farms.
So they show him farming, and he's just going about his business, and then he's in the house, and then Carol just comes out of nowhere and just beats him senseless.
And then like Thor in the Hulkbuster armor rips through the floor. Cap and like Natasha just brutalize him.
Yeah, they literally just like annihilate him within like 5 minutes of them showing up.
And so they try to take the gauntlet, and the Infinity Stones are gone. And so basically what Thanos did with the second snap was he reduced the stones to atoms. So they're gone.
It nearly killed him.
Nearly killed him because he's got like scars all the way up along that.
He's got a limp.
Face. Yeah,
I didn't know if I was the only one that noticed.
Oh yeah, he does have a limp.
I
I didn't notice that first until you told me.
Whole side of his face is all burned up.
And he basically is like, it almost killed me. The second snap almost killed me. And
so he spends all this time talking, and then all of a sudden Thor comes out of nowhere and just cuts his head off.
He went for the head and
then he just gets up and leaves.
Yeah, and then a quick snap cut to 5 years later.
Yeah, we go 5 years later. So all this stuff they had in the trailer, meant nothing because it's just the first 15 minutes of the movie. Bravo on that, I have to say. That was great editing.
I do love the idea that it's not just they fix everything. And to be honest, I didn't even expect them to do that.
I didn't either.
Because in the comics, I don't think it's possible to do that with the stones because they're literally like, they're unbreakable basically because of like. But I mean, to be fair, it does make kind of sense. But like, they're raw elements of the universe. Like, you can't just destroy them, basically.
It's probably more than likely. I'm sure there's some kind of in-universe explanation, but it's a plot point. That's
and I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
And that's not a negative.
I'm just like, I mean, because to be fair, this is a different universe from the regular Marvel universe.
It's a plot point.
And technically, every universe has Infinity Stones. Infinity Stones in the Marvel universe actually wouldn't work outside of that universe because they don't affect the laws of that other universe.
So like if I went into 616, got stones, then I came over to MC2, they wouldn't really work.
Or, and since this debate's coming up, if he took them to the DC universe, they wouldn't work, and the Justice League would hand him his behind.
Batman alone, if he had prep time, would do it.
Well,
he probably didn't even need prep time. He'd just show up and just beat him up.
I'm sorry, he's not even, like, I know, like, he's a ripoff of Darkseid, but he doesn't have nearly the amount of power that Darkseid has.
Yeah.
Darkseid is, if I'm to quote the man himself. So, it opens after the 5 years where basically Cap has opened up like a group to help people the survivors of those left behind, basically.
Trying to get them to help them move on.
Which was kind of odd because the guy that talks to that looks a lot like Mark Ruffalo.
And he's gay.
Yeah, so I'm like, oh, I didn't know Bruce was gay.
Yeah, I mean, me and you both thought it was Bruce for a minute. I was like, okay.
Yeah, because like I figured
I'm fine with this, but
I kind of figured he was hooking up with Natasha because that was like his whole driving thing.
Yeah, I mean, it was a little out of left field. Then we realized it wasn't him. We're like, okay, that makes a little more sense.
We'll get to why we figured that out afterwards, but it wasn't it was just one of those things where I'm like, oh. But then I realized that it wasn't him, and I'm like, oh, okay, that was kind of confusing.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if that was done on purpose.
It might have been just to throw you off because of... and then we cut to the new Avengers, as basically Black Widow is now in charge of what's left of the Avengers, which is now Rocket Raccoon,
Captain Marvel, War
Machine,
and who's the last one?
I forget that guy. I think he's like a...
No, it's a female.
Nebula.
No, it's not Nebula. Nebula's in it, but I might think...
I remember...
I wonder if I'm thinking of somebody else entirely.
I remember it's Rocket, Nebula, Captain Marvel,
if I was able to use my phone, I have pictures of that scene because I wanted to picture the Captain.
Guy, like a Kree commander or something like that like was working with him.
We'll figure it out, but
anyway. Oh no, I think it was the lady from
Black Panther.
From Black Panther.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I don't remember her name. I've only seen bits and pieces of Black Panther.
Yeah, I haven't seen Black Panther yet either. But so anyway, that's basically what they got working with. And Carol's not even in this universe right now.
Well, the galaxy.
Yeah, she's not even in this galaxy.
Part of the galaxy.
She's in another part of it.
Yeah, and basically, War Machine is looking for Clint. Oh my gosh, we forgot about that. In the opening, we actually see what happens.
The opening is so great because
we actually see what happens to Clint during the snap.
Yeah, it's just Clint. He's out, having fun with his family.
He's on house arrest from the events of Civil War,
and and he goes over to pick up these arrows his daughter was shooting. And as he turns around, you just see in the corner of the screen dust. And then he turns around, and his wife and his whole family's gone. And it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
why he just snaps because
he's no longer Hawkeye in this. He is Ronin, the ninja, which and so basically Rhodey's looking for him, and apparently he's just going around murdering cartel drug
he was in Mexico. He was murdering them. Then he's in Japan.
Yeah, which I have to admit that scene where he's fighting the Yakuza was amazing because you don't get to see that a lot in Marvel. The only character that really gets to do that is Cap because he doesn't have laser powers or super strength. He has to fight with. So it was
go ahead. Sorry.
I really love when they get to do actual combat scenes because it's something that you really don't get to see a lot of in the Marvel movies. It's really well shot. And
it's revealed that Natasha is looking for him because he's all she has left at that point. And
and to be fair, what's left of the Avengers is all she has left too.
Yeah.
Which and basically they all report out except for Rhodey. Rhodey still stays, and she's like, "Do you have something to say?" And he's just like, "I don't even know if we want to find Clint."
Yeah, after the stuff he's seen.
Yeah, you didn't see what I see, man. He massacred this cartel. Massacred. We're talking Deadpool 2 kind of massacres.
Like Jason Todd when he comes right back.
No, we're talking Red Hood stuff. And so basically, she's like, just find where he's going next, and then I will deal with it. And basically, she almost has a breakdown until Cap shows up. And Cap, bless his soul, he's trying to find the positive in all this.
And Natasha's just like, if you keep talking, I'm gonna throw beam you with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
But to be fair, I feel like Natasha eating peanut butter and jelly is just weird to me. But she doesn't seem like someone who would just eat peanut butter and jelly.
She's been through a lot in 5 years.
She's been through a lot, and that's probably comfort food at this point. I also like the fact that she still has the blonde in her hair, but it's clearly grown out.
Yeah, it's coming back, and the red is coming back.
Which I'm like, why don't you just cut the white and the blonde out? But
why did she dye it, by the way?
It was to go into undercover after Civil War because she sided with Cap.
That figures. That's what I thought. I figured it was something like that. I haven't seen
because their relationship became very not. I'm not saying romantic. They became really good friends during the Winter Soldier.
I've seen bits and pieces of that. I figured that's
Winter Soldier is one of my favorites just because it's. I know it's basically Jason Bourne but with Cap.
Zach actually said the same thing I asked him about. He said he liked Winter Soldier.
I know a lot of people don't like Winter Soldier, and I don't know why. I think it's very solid and a very good interpretation of the book that it's based on. And so basically, Cap's I saw some whales around New York Harbor because there's less pollution, so the whales are coming back towards the harbor, and he's trying to find the positive, and he's like, sorry, it's all I got because I'm Cap. I try to find the positive in everything.
He never tells a lot. He's always honest.
Yeah, and to be fair, that is a part of Cap because he very much is an environmentalist because he's an artist and he loves to draw. They never really do a lot with the artist stuff with Cap in these, but
I feel like they wanted to, but they probably just didn't know how to incorporate it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I like what they do with Cap. That's why I like him. He's very much the comic book character. And so basically the two of them are moping when we cut to to Ant-Man and the Wasp's van,
which is in a self-storage unit.
Yeah, because basically, someone found it and they didn't know what to do with it, and they just probably did what they did with a lot of the stuff that disappeared. People that disappeared and just their stuff was left. They put it in the cold storage. And cut to a rat just fiddling around with the machinery of the quantum tunnel.
Somebody that Zach is close with, sorry to interrupt, but somebody Zach is close with says that was lazy writing, and I'm just like, no, that's actually kind of. It's normal. Because to be fair,
it's
a little convenient, but
to be fair, and it's sensitive equipment. It's not it's prototype equipment. So if you're not careful, you probably would. If something just got on the controls, it probably would fiddle with it.
Yeah, so it makes sense.
I will admit, I too kind of argue it's convenience, but I'm like, it's whatever. We had to get him back.
It's a plot point.
And so basically, Ant-Man gets shot out, and he wakes up and he convinces the security guard to let him out. And I think it was done by Kim Jae-hong.
It's the guy from Hangover.
Yeah. And he gets out and he's like, kid, what year is it? And the kid doesn't say anything. And then he notices the memorials for all of those who had vanished.
So he starts looking for his daughter's name, and
then he doesn't see it. He sees his name, which obviously means something of his family is alive. And so he rushes to where his wife or his ex-wife and daughter would be. And he sees Cassie's now 5 years older and she's a teenager. And I love that scene because I was so happy they didn't do more to Ant-Man. I'm glad. I mean, I'm not glad that he lost Janet and Hank and I forget their daughter's name. And I love that scene because Cassie isn't so important to Scott in the comics, and especially because now she's at the age where she can become Stature. Well, they probably won't call her Stature because they had a lot of people like to call her Statutory.
I was just about to say,
yeah, they eventually
eventually
changed her to the new Wasp because I'm like, oh, you guys didn't think that one through. She's a member of the Young Avengers, for those who don't know. It's her boyfriend Iron Lad, who is actually an alternate universe Kang the Conqueror. Long story, don't ask.
I'll figure it out at some point.
a friend of Cap's son, who takes on the mantle of the Patriot. Scarlet Witch's son's Wiccan, who was originally named the Asgardian, but he was also gay, so people like to call him Asgardian. Marvel, why? To be fair, he was called Asgardian originally because his powers come from Norse mythology.
For those who didn't see that, I'm Wiccan, so
yeah. You'd probably like Wiccan. He's cool. His brother, I want to say his name's Quicksilver. I forget what his name is. And Wiccan's boyfriend Hulkling, who is I want to say a Kree, or like an experiment with the Kree and Skrull DNA to make him Hulkling. And to be fair, I love the Young Avengers. Vision was also a member, but like he was like a kid for a while, and so was Loki because he was also turned into a kid.
Yeah.
You should read Young Avengers. It's a good book.
At some point I'll read it. So
I need to pick up that trade.
Well, I don't have grad school to worry about.
But I did love seeing Cassie. I kind of hope that she'll be in like the next Ant-Man movie with him and his girlfriend, the Wasp. And so he realizes that there's been a huge time distillation, so he goes to Avengers Mansion where I guess just Cap and
where he inhales all the food in sight.
Well, yeah, and so he basically tells them that for them it was 5 years, for him it was only 5 months, implying that there's time travel basically involved with the quantum realm. And so Ant-Man decides to tell him that there is a way that they can get the Infinity Stones back. Time travel.
Yeah, they have to figure out the right algorithm for it.
And which actually
leaves
he calls
two possible people.
Yeah.
One of which is Tony,
and the other is
Bruce. And it's a little out of Bruce's element.
Well, we're gonna get to that because they go to Tony first, but we're gonna get to that. And so basically, he comes up with a plan called Time Heist, which is actually a Marvel book. I didn't know that was actually a Marvel book.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's actually based on an actual comic.
I should have guessed because I was sure it was a reference.
Which I think was cool. And so basically they go to the one guy who they figure could figure out time travel, the
Mr. Tony Stark.
And we cut to Tony in his little home in the woods.
And he and Pepper have a daughter now.
Yeah, I think her name's Morgan or Morgana.
Yeah, I think it's Morgan.
And she comes out wearing a blue Iron Man looking armor or helmet, and she's like, "Where did you find this? In your garage?" Well, this is Mommy's, which implies that he built her the rescue armor, which I love. I love when she got the rescue armor.
It's fine. She never buys anything. She never wears anything.
I make her. I'm like, oh. It also kind of a reference to Iron Man 3 because she did wear an Iron Man armor at one point during that. Which, to be fair, I love their relationship in this because their relationship is so weird. And I'll tell you about it after we get done vlogging, but their relationship's kind of had its ups and downs.
I mean, it's a very, very cute scene. You know, in my opinion, it's a more human side of Tony than I think is often allowed to come to the surface.
And to be fair, that's because of who Tony is. He doesn't like to let people know that he's human. You know, proof that Tony Stark has a heart. And so, they roll up and they basically say, we have the ability, we think we can do this. And Tony himself's like, it's not possible. I think partially he doesn't want to believe it, which is weird, but like he just...
Because if he allows himself to believe it, then he has to help. And he's like, I don't really want to.
I've got a family. I'm happy. I just want to move on with my life because I'm damaged, I'm broken, and I just want to move on.
So, Cap obviously is a little disappointed and annoyed, but he gets it.
Especially because, he's already had his happy ending taken, ripped away from him thanks to being Captain America. He gets it,
so they're like, okay,
I will admit, though, I do love that Tony was like, you're welcome to stay for lunch, just as long as we don't talk shop.
Yeah.
Which I thought, and it shows that Tony, is trying to move on, but at the same time, they're still his friends.
Yeah, so, but, they're like, we get it, so they leave.
I would have loved to have seen that scene where they're all sitting around.
Yeah. So they leave, and they go to Banner, and who is kind of...
He's now Doc Green. Basically, as he puts it, both him and Hulk got their butts beat by Thanos.
He stopped treating the big green guy like he was a disease to be cured.
And so he used gamma radiation to more or less merge the two halves together. He has all the personality and smarts of Banner with the power and color of the Hulk. Which, to be fair, that is a point in the comics, and for a long time in the 90s, that was how Hulk was.
I mean, when I first saw it on screen, I even looked at you and I'm like, so he's Beast?
Yeah, he pretty much is Beast, except that he looks fairly normal other than he's green. And I actually do kind of like that idea. And I think is kind of true of Hulk, that Banner thinks of him too much as a disease or as a trick knee. Instead, he should learn to, actually make use of that great power. It's a shame it never sticks. Because I do love the idea of Bruce having the power of the Hulk without being a giant rage monster.
Well, it's probably a thing with people, just like it is with Peter and MJ having a family and being married. Some people like it, some people don't.
And to be fair, Marvel's like, the Hulk can never be happy, or else he'll never be the Hulk.
Oh, so he's basically Batman then.
Yeah.
Batman can never be happy in any of these freaking comics. Except ludicrously
more miserable. At least Batman's allowed to have his Bat family. Hulk can barely ever get to have She-Hulk as his friend.
Yeah.
And I think currently, as of right now, She-Hulk is actually more like the Hulk because she got some of Bruce's blood after he died because she needed a transfusion, and she became the Savage She-Hulk again. And then Hulk became the Immortal Hulk because he got his soul dragged from hell, and now he's like a demon.
Comics. Hashtag.
Hashtag comics. Hold on a second. I need to...
No, it's all good. You see me. I've been chugging pop over here.
And so...
We're at 37 minutes, too, by the way.
Yeah. And so basically, Hulk is like, yeah, I'll try to take a shot at it. And we get a really funny scene where, he gets pictures with kids because I guess they like him. Selfies, yeah. And then he has to make Ant-Man do it because his fingers are too big for the phone. And then he's like, don't you want to take a picture with me too? And they don't know who he is. And so basically they decide that using Pym particles, they'll shrink in a way that they can, I guess, get between the fabric of time. And then, and basically the particles...
Enter the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, we'll let them go into the past, and at first they try to explain that it's like Back to the Future physics, where if you do something, you'll alter the timeline. And to be fair, it's not like how it is in Back to the Future, where if a paradox happens, it'll cause the universe to rip itself asunder.
It's more like anyone that doesn't know what that means, we could probably sit and do a whole video explaining the Back to the Future timeline.
But basically, imagine my finger making a line. That's the timeline. Basically, if you alter something, it'll just cause a new timeline to be in basically a new universe.
Basically running parallel to the first one, but this one has the change that happened here.
Yeah.
Whereas if in that universe it goes on forward, but if you diverge, it goes into this. And if you were to diverge in that one, it goes into another one, and so on and so forth.
And so basically their plan is to get the stones from certain points in time where they still exist, and then put them back when they're done. So that way